morning, everyone. I'm so delighted to see all of you here. And thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you tomorrow as well, as it's a two-day event. And it's my privilege to welcome you all today. For the next 2 days, Chennai becomes much more than just the exhibition space. It becomes an area where all the people from electric vehicle industry come and talk about what's happening in the industry and what can happen in future. Every industrial revolution has had moments, that changed its direction. And looking back, those moments seem much obvious when we see them later. But today I feel in electric vehicle, these are the days and months which are happening with us that we know it's going to make a huge change. And when we see them back on these days after some years, and we would realize that, oh, we were creating that change, or we were a part of that. So that's what I feel is happening with us, and we have reached those defining moments in our lives. Can we have okay. So now the conversation largely has changed. 5 years ago, whenever we spoke about electric mobility, the discussion always started that, whether India will adopt EV, whether we can have the infrastructure ready, what are the problems that can happen in electricity connections or the voltage, or manufacturers will invest into different categories or not. But today, very few people are talking about it. Today, in fact, we were also having a discussion on how is it and what is it that is creating a change, but we largely ask for how can we become a leading country in electric mobility. It's much more than assembling that's happening worldwide, and how can we be a part of it. The shift is very important because it tells us that electric mobility is no longer an experiment. It's here to stay. It is becoming an industry. We can go to the next slide. And India is no longer, as I said, is an emerging market in EV anymore. In the last financial year, India registered over 2.4 million electric vehicles, with EV penetration reaching approximately 8.5% of new vehicle registrations. These numbers are very encouraging, but stats alone do not really define the success. What matters is that electric mobility has moved beyond early adopters that we were talking about a couple of years back. Consumers are beginning to trust the technology now, and businesses are beginning to invest with a lot of confidence. Governments are creating policies which will show effect much later, and the entrepreneurs are building solutions at a much faster pace. So the industry is, I won't say it is matured, but it is on the way of maturing and creating a change. One thing that fascinates me about India's EV story is very interesting. If you see all around the world, the electric vehicles started from all the luxurious vehicles getting launched in the market. It didn't happen in India. So India was very interestingly launching the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers and the last-mile logistics and the fleet operators, and it has been adopted very well. The place from where I come, Delhi and NCR, there are a lot of e-rickshaws, what we call it, a three-wheeler that you would see. And the logistics for people have changed. They go to metro, come out of the metro, sit in an electric scooter, and go to their destination. And on their destination also, they would get that. So that's the kind of penetration we are talking about. All the deliveries that we get are on an electric vehicle fleet. We've got a lot of fleet owners who are tying not just with, the e-commerce platforms, the quick commerce platform. All these delivery platforms are using it, and that's extremely encouraging when we get our parcels from there. And I think that's forced somewhere Indian entrepreneurs to innovate differently. When you see the commercial vehicles or you see the storage vehicles, they're defining those moments. And the trucks that you get who would clean up your roads are also electric vehicle now. So that's quite encouraging, and I believe these innovations will become increasingly relevant in the emerging markets. So in the global EV race, it's the major story that is written by a lot of countries. China has established extraordinary manufacturing scale and pretty much dominate the global battery supply chain. Europe has led through a lot of regulations and sustainability. US continues to push the boundaries of softwares, autonomous technologies, and advanced mobility. I've tried myself in autonomous technology 2.5 years back. So we are that behind United States. But India's strength lies in combining engineering talent, entrepreneurship, which is huge here in India, affordability, and one of the world's largest mobility markets. Our opportunity is not to copy someone else's model, because we'll not be successful doing that. Our opportunity is to build our own story. Also, EV is no longer just an automobile industry. Perhaps the biggest shift over the last decade is this, that electric mobility is no longer just about the vehicles. It's about an ecosystem. A modest electric vehicle represents the convergence of manufacturing, battery technology, software, artificial intelligence, power electronics, energy management, charging infrastructure, financial services, and of course, public policy. So no single company can really build this ecosystem alone. Its success depends a lot on collaborations. And that is exactly platforms like India EV Show creates that opportunity for all of you. That's the next challenge that we have. While we celebrate our progress a lot, we must also acknowledge the work that still lies ahead of us. India continues to depend significantly on a lot of imports of battery cells, semiconductor, several critical other raw materials and elements. The next phase of our journey is therefore not simply about selling more electric vehicles, but it would be more about building stronger domestic capabilities, which should come by local manufacturing, advanced chemistry, battery recycling, supply chain resilience, because long-term leadership belongs not just to those who would sell those products more, but to those who would control the technology behind it, or the manufacturing to a large extent will define that. We have a lot of policymakers today, so please feel free to talk to them to understand what is there with us in the next chapter and how can they really help us. Another thing that I want to touch upon is, our place where we are doing this show, Tamil Nadu. You would see that Tamil Nadu has grown, really sorry, but I'm just trying to change. Okay, we got that. So there could hardly be a more appropriate place than Tamil Nadu that we look forward to do this show. And a lot of people ask me till today, why Chennai? And I always tell them that Tamil Nadu has been recognized as now India's automotive capital. And it combines world-class manufacturing capabilities for the companies that have already entered, engineering talent, suppliers ecosystem, export infrastructure, and industrial expertise. And that makes it a good ecosystem for a company to start here. And the foundation for the state's EV ambitions. That's remarkable. As a global manufacturer, rethink supply chains and investment destinations, Tamil Nadu is very well positioned to become one of the centers of electric mobility, innovation, as well as manufacturing. The next wave of innovation as we look ahead, I believe the next decade will not just be simply about replacing one engine with another. It would be about reimagining mobility itself. Battery technologies will continue to evolve. Charging will become faster. That's what we were just talking about a minute back, that it needs to be much faster and smarter in order to consumers like us to use it. And vehicles will become interestingly software defined, because we all understand that AI will transform vehicle performance and predictive maintenance, which is very important, and a fleet management, which is very important, which is derived by artificial intelligence completely. So in many ways, we are not just at the beginning of this journey. We've done a bit of work, but we cannot really say that we've matured. We are still looking forward to work in this sector. Innovation creates lasting competitive advantage. And India's greatest opportunity does not really lie in assembling products only. It lies in designing technologies. If we can do that, then nothing can really stop us in becoming what we really look forward to in electric vehicle. Developing software, IP creation is something which is still missing. Building global competitive engineering capabilities is also which is required, though we have a lot of talent which is available, but still we have to have a lot of work in competing with a lot of brilliant players that are existing in this world today. And the future belongs to companies who are not just innovating or merely manufacturing. It belongs to also countries like ours who can develop and adapt much faster. As we all know, what we need in a car to play is not an engine anymore, but a battery. And if the internal combustion engine defined that earlier, battery completely takes over the electric vehicle series, because that's the only thing that works in terms of battery performance. It influences cost of the vehicle. It influences the range. It influences the charging speed. Somewhere it influences the safety, which is a little problem in nowadays coming up in two-wheelers in India, economies of vehicle, and that is why investment in battery technologies and advanced chemistry, recycling, and energy storage will actually shape the future of how we use electric vehicle. Every successful mobility ecosystem depends a lot on infrastructure. In fact, just before coming here, I was talking to Sir about how it impacts the usage. Because if infrastructure, it is like an egg and hen situation. If the infrastructure is not there, consumers will not be able to utilize the vehicles that they've bought or they're planning to buy. We need a lot of infrastructure because largely businesses need reliability. So if I say that fleet operators are using it, they also need infrastructure to charge it before they deliver it to any consumer. And therefore, it becomes more of a utility and something which is required, a mandatory requirement. So it can really enable the economic growth of electric vehicle industry. And the companies building this infrastructure today are laying the foundation for tomorrow. Though they're facing a lot of problems today, they've even gone to an extent that they would franchise out the charging stations only because they want an end user to be the whole sole person who's running it in their own areas. That makes a huge difference. Entrepreneurship in charging station has gone to that level, has penetrated deeply. As we see here, the rise of software, it's become the prime differentiator. And, increasingly vehicles are becoming more computers on wheels like anything else. Software within the vehicles actually determine the user experience, like you can see on this slide, the navigation, connectivity, diagnostics, security, battery charge. AI is becoming very important in mechanical engineering, and it represents enormous opportunity for India because India has a lot of this talent that has to be utilized. Of course, to do anything else, we need a lot of investment. And one encouraging trend that we are witnessing is increasing of flow of capital into electric mobility ecosystem. A lot of entrepreneurs are budding into this sector who are looking for investments, but they're creating some good innovations. And a lot of manufacturers are trying to come up, energy management, artificial intelligence, so capital is trying to getting in flow, but still there's a lot of dearth and a lot of investors can come in and fill up this gap. So the large opportunities that we see coming in the next sector is these 5. Let me come back to the slide. These are the 5 major opportunities that we see today. Battery manufacturing, charging infrastructures, exports is very interesting if we start doing that. Fleet electrification has already started, but still there's a lot of scope, and AI and software. What we need in order to address all of these opportunities is a lot of collaboration, because a single company will not be able to define any kind of a future that we have in electric vehicle in India. Progress will come through only with partnerships, in between startups, manufacturers, between industries and academicians, in between government and businesses. Collaboration has always been India's greatest strength, and it must continue to be so in our sector. And this is where we started India EV Show, because we wanted to create a difference and an exhibition showcase of all the innovations that have come up, all the companies who can meet up with people who are interested in investing into this particular category. And that's how we launched awards to recognize the people who are doing best of the work in this industry. And together, I know for sure we can create a lot of opportunities and larger creation of such an ecosystem where people come and meet and discuss what is it that they can do in future and how can they collaborate. So we look forward to getting support from all of you like we've got today. As we move forward to 2030, the focus must shift from adoption to leadership, and companies need to come into all the other sectors that we have just spoken about. And we will discuss this over a period of 2 days as well. You would see a lot of sessions, a lot of speakers from these companies who would be discussing this thing. And India's opportunity also lies in a similar thing. And now let me just leave you with one final thought, that every generation gets this opportunity to participate in an industry that transforms economies, transforms the way we work. And electric vehicle is that opportunity for our generation. We would be using battery and the other energy storage forms in everything that we do in future. And the way we are building the businesses, it's going to change our current businesses as well. So thank you for being a part of India AV Show 2026, and we look forward to get your support. And I invite each one of you to encourage discussions between you and the exhibitors. Please do visit our stalls as well and explore opportunities, whether it is integrated in a forward manner or a backward manner, either ways. And have meaningful conversations, create some opportunities, create some partnerships, and we'll be very happy to know about it. Please feel free to reach out to us. We've committed ourselves as Entrepreneur India to electric vehicle industry in India. And of course, we will look forward to meet you next year as well on similar dates in the month of June. And thank you so much. Thanks once again of becoming a part of this show. Thank you.